St. Louis, city of St. Louis is preparing to sue Hyundai and Kia over rampant car thefts in the city. What do we have going on? Why is this Hyundai and Kia's fault? Yeah, not really sure, but we're going to get into it. Let's talk about it. Just Kias and Hyundais getting stolen, one truck driver in St. Louis says. Just Kias and Hyundai. Remember when we had the TikTok challenge? We had the TikTok boys, and they were literally doing TikTok videos on, look at how easy it is to steal these cars because they don't have the right anti-theft software in place. And we can just stick a little thumb drive in there and away we go. Not that simple. But now city officials are like, hey, wait a minute. All these cars are getting stolen. Because of, let's read why. Let's read why they're placing the blame on the hands of car manufacturers. It's like people placing the blame on the manufacturers of goods being sold in Target that are being stolen by people coming in, organized retail theft. Maybe it's Ryobi's fault for making all those tools that are being stolen at Home Depot. That's kind of where we're heading, right? Car thefts have skyrocketed in St. Louis in recent months, with city leadership threatening lawsuits against Kia and Hyundai for an alleged defect that makes certain makes of the cars easier to steal. So don't go after the criminals. Go after the people making the goods being stolen? That seems wildly backwards, doesn't it? Right. But again, this is St. Louis. So any of you viewers out there, listeners in St. Louis, sorry, but this is just what's going on. Our drivers probably get about 5 of these things a day. Just Kias and Hyundais getting stolen, tow truck driver Mark Hartmann told KMOV last week of the thefts in the city. Auto thefts in St. Louis have doubled this year. Doubled. That's not good. That's not a crime stat. Hey, how's that crime stat? Yeah. Doubled. According to KMOV, in July alone, the city averaged about 21 Kia and Hyundai thefts incidents each day. That number increased to 23. This is 23. 23 thefts each day in August, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch previously reported. In August, St. Louis leaders threatened to sue Hyundai and Kia, demanding the car companies address a defect that allegedly makes stealing vehicles made before 2021 easier to steal. So we're not going after the criminals that are doing the criminal acts. We're going to sue. This makes 0 sense, does it? 0 sense at all. I mean, this is how you get in a situation where you let your crime rate double because you're not going after the criminals who appear to be very effective at their job, which is stealing vehicles from said citizens, because they're able to double that. And is the arrest rate going up and double? Probably not. St. Louis, just overrun with this kind of activity. And city leadership, yeah. Who can we get on this one? Who can we tag on this bad boy? KMOV reported last week that plans to sue the car makers over the city's spike in auto thefts are still in the works. I could not imagine going down this route. This is just, hey, we've given up. So what can we do here that makes it appear that we're doing something? Let's sue the auto manufacturers. In what world does that make sense? Now, granted, these criminals are smart and they've exploited, somebody figured out how to do this. Somebody figured out, probably stuck a video on YouTube, which hasn't been taken down, probably stuck a video on Twitter or TikTok saying, hey, here's the deal. And it literally was on TikTok, it was the Kia boys that kind of made this a thing. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh yeah, before 2021, here's all we got to do. Stick a little USB in the USB port, download some information, boom, way you go, circumvent the whatever limited security they've got in those vehicles. I don't really know how it works because I'm not really going to check out how to steal a car. That's not my thing. Really disruptive to have your car stolen. I mean, it's just, you want to have your life ruined just, for a brief moment, and maybe for longer than a brief moment. If you can't afford that new car, interest rates have gone up, all that crazy stuff, right? With this letter, the city demands that Kia and Hyundai mitigate the defective conditions, providing thieves, including teenagers as young as 13, the instrumentalities by which they are destroying property, endangering city drivers and themselves, and in some cases, committing violent felonies, according to the letter written by City Councilor Sheena Hamilton. You're going after the people making the cars, not the criminals? I mean, in what world is this even a thing? Well, apparently St. Louis, right? Hyundai is Kia's parent company, but the two automakers operate independently. Another stolen recovery we got, Hartmann added to KMOV, of picking up the remains of a stolen car in the city. It's good for business, the tow truck drivers, but it's bad for a lot of things. It's bad for people. It's bad for society in general when your cars are getting jacked all day long. Customers are out of their car for weeks, if they ever get them back. Spokesperson for St. Louis Mayor Tishara Jones did not immediately respond to Fox News Digital's request for comment on the planned lawsuits. Yeah, I'm not going to get back to you because we know it looks ridiculous, but we got to do something. These car thefts are off the hook. We can't control our citizens. We can't control the teenagers. Hell no. That's just wildly out of control. We just got to let that rip. So what can we do to mitigate this? I don't even think they want to mitigate it. Suing a car manufacturer? Hyundai Motor America spokesperson Ira Gabriel told Fox News Digital this week that the company received the letter from the city of St. Louis and provided a formal response. Here's their response. Our vehicles are not defective and comply with all applicable safety regulations. Notwithstanding this, we've been working cooperatively with the St. Louis Police Department and the police departments in other communities to provide our assistance in responding to these thefts. We continue looking for meaningful ways to support, just goes on and on saying, hey, this is not our fault. There's a mechanism by which people can steal the cars. Old school, you tear out the ignition system, the wiring, tear out that and put a couple of wires together. Is that a defect flaw? No, that's just how you hot wire an old school car, right? So you don't expect those manufacturers to, hey, you need to go back and retool that whole ignition system thing because we got too many cars going AWOL. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt pushed back against St. Louis leaders' plans to sue the automakers. St. Louis has a violent crime problem. What's causing crime in the city? The mayor's war against the police? ? Have we heard this story before? Yes, we have. The prosecutor letting criminals run wild? Yeah, this seems to be a common thing, doesn't it? Evidently, city leaders think it's, yes, the cars. Yes, car manufacturers are to blame, not criminals. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. That is what Missouri Attorney General is saying. Hey, yeah, hard no. Hard no. How does this even become a story? How does this even become a thing where you're like, okay, yeah, got it. I can't even put into context anything in the past that I am able to remember along the same lines. I'm sure there's plenty of, things that we can compare it to, but this is so specific. And this is by a high-ranking entity, right? Yeah, we're going to sue you because our citizens are stealing your cars too often. St. Louis was considered the murder capital of the United States, but was unseated this year by New Orleans. We've got players. They're edging neck and neck. As of September 17th, St. Louis recorded 45 homicides per 100,000 residents, compared to New Orleans, 52 homicides per 100,000 residents. Other states, you might be down at 1.5, 1.6, maybe 2, something like that. When you're up in the 45 per 100,000, if you're up over 50 per 100,000 residents, those are big numbers, percentage-wise, out of a population. Those are huge numbers. Thefts of Kias and Hyundais have skyrocketed across the country in recent months as a TikTok challenge using the hashtag KiaBoys grew in popularity. The social media trend challenged people to steal certain models of Kias and Hyundais between just What is our world coming to? The cars can be stolen with just a USB cable and a screwdriver. Well, you used to have a hammer and a screwdriver, and then just know which, you just started picking wires apart and just, touch them together. And when they spark in the end, that starter starts to crank. That's when you hold them together, twist them together, and away you go. Yeah, with all the electronics now, though, you just got to stick a little USB cable in there and a screwdriver and go on down the road. Because they're not really prosecuting car thefts, I would imagine, in St. Louis, right? No, they're not. Not in a lot of cities. We're just not doing that. And that's how you get out of control like this. And then you end up blaming car manufacturers for rising car theft. Kia and Hyundai's defective vehicles have caused a public safety crisis in the city, endangering the health, safety, and peace of all those who live, work, or visit the city. Car manufacturers, defective cars? That's literally what we're stating in this letter to the car companies. Your companies bear the responsibility to mitigate the public nuisance your negligence has created for the city and its residents. Do car manufacturers have a responsibility to set owners of the cars to make them overly protective against being stolen? I don't know. I guess we'll find out if this lawsuit goes through. But their attorney, I mean, on what grounds would you sue? You know what I mean? The car manufacturers, Kia is basically stating, hey, we're within the standards of the law. You guys are just going down this road because you've got a bunch of criminals that are off the hook with their activities and they're stealing a lot of these cars. Don't blame us. Blame your own criminals. Blame your own policies. Blame your own lack of inaction to deter crime in your city. Blame those. Don't blame the car maker. The car companies have also faced a handful of class action lawsuits filed this year over the vehicles not having immobilizers. All right. So not only do we have, we're stating we have inadequate safety systems on there, preventative security systems, but when the cars get stolen, you need to have immobilizers. I mean, are we going to end up driving around these tanks that only go a little distance and, can't be broken into, but, can't be driven very far either? Just so wild how we're, spinning this narrative of it's not the criminal's fault. I mean, these criminals, they got to practice on something. They got to get their repetitions in too, because otherwise it won't be good at their, that's criminal activity though, isn't it? Yeah. Interesting. A law firm in Ohio reported last week that more than 3,600 people in the state have inquired about joining the proposed suit. All right. So you've got citizens that are like, hey, wait a minute. Our cars are getting jacked. Another class action suit was filed in California last month against the car companies over the vehicles lacking immobilizers. Is this even a thing? Is this required? A similar class action suit was filed in Illinois at the beginning of September, and another one was filed in Minnesota later the same month. All right. So we've got California, we've got St. Louis, we've got Minnesota, probably Minneapolis. What's the theme there? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. You've got leadership that just won't take responsibility for the criminal activity and lack of prosecution, lack of throwing these people in jail. So they're going to keep doing whatever crime they're doing. And right now it's stealing Hyundais and Kias. Why wouldn't they keep doing that? So until you start locking some of those folks up, don't expect to see these crime stats, just magically go down. All right. We've got our fill of stealing the Kias and the Hyundais. All right. Let's take a little breather. I talk about that all the time. In what world would that happen? Yeah, it's not going to. So you're going to continue to see this. So city leadership is like, you're hurting our citizens by allowing your cars to be, just stolen left and right. But yeah, there's a whole disconnect here, isn't there? All Hyundai vehicles meet or exceed federal motor vehicle safety standards. Okay. Some earlier models without a push-button ignition do not have engine immobilizers. In November 2021, engine immobilizers became standard on all Hyundai vehicles produced. So they know there's an issue, and they've worked on it in models forward. Do you do a big recall on all these? Maybe that's what'll happen. I don't know. But this whole, hey, the criminals are taking the cars, let's blame the manufacturer. It's so backwards that it's wild. While no car can be made completely theft-proof, criminals are targeting vehicles equipped with a steel key and turn-to-start ignition system, as opposed to those equipped with the fob key and push-button-to-start system. Kia America continues to work closely with local law enforcement in affected areas to provide steering wheel lock devices at no cost to concerned citizens. So they're aware of what's going on, but there are so many cars out there that still have the key. I mean, it wasn't until recent years where you had the fob where you just didn't even put a key into your ignition, right? I remember the first time I rented a car in Hawaii and it didn't have a key. And I was like, all right, how does this work? And fortunately, there was and this is quite a few years ago, there was a little sign on the dashboard. Put your foot on the brake, hit the start button, and if the key is inside the car, close to, your person, maybe in your pocket, something like that, car will start. And so, I followed the instructions. Let's see, foot down, push the button. Oh my gosh, car is going. Yeah. But, prior to that, nobody drove a car without, putting a key in the ignition and turning that bad boy. So, these criminals, they figure out a way. They're doing their thing. And apparently, cities with leadership that's weak, they're suing the manufacturers of said product being stolen by their own citizens. It's 2022. Apparently, this is what we're doing. All right. Thanks for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.